Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Fish East Live. I'm your host, Don Patterson, and coming to you tonight, we're not quite live. A little bit of a scheduling shuffle. We had this scheduled for Thursday night. We've got to get it off to you. So if you're watching this on Thursday night, this was pre-recorded, but that's not going to change the fact that we're looking to bring you some great content tonight. And this is a show that we're really quite excited about. We're focusing on, and this is probably going to be the first of a number in this topic of locally made, and by local I mean anywhere in the Atlantic region, not just in New Brunswick, not just in Nova Scotia, but locally made tackle, baits, flies, anything that we as anglers might use. We want to find people who make it locally. So, as I said, a little bit different tonight, pre-recorded. We got another difference tonight. I'm your host, but joining me, our Nova Scotia director, and quickly becoming a very good friend, Mr. Matt Zito. So let's get Matt brought in here.
How you doing, Donnie?
Not bad, Matt. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm good. I'm excited for this show. It's always nice to meet local people and support local. So I'm really excited to see what these guys got to offer.
I'm pretty excited about it too. And for those of you who don't know, as I just said, Matt's our Nova Scotia director. So we've got Matt from Nova Scotia, myself from New Brunswick. So the hosting duties are going to be split half and half. Our guest duties are going to be split half and half. So tonight we have 3 guests from Nova Scotia who all build different types of baits or tackles. I'm not going to give away just yet what everybody builds. We'll let them talk about their own products. And then we have 3 from New Brunswick. So it's really one of the biggest things that we focused on, Matt, since we started this journey is the support local theme. And, don't get me wrong. We're all going to buy, mass produced baits at some point in time and that sort of stuff. But there's something special about knowing that your neighbor down the street, or, even if it's a guy 100 miles away, but a guy that you have shook hands with face to face, built or poured or just crafted that fly, that bait, that just put that trophy fish in your hands. There's something really special about that as an angler to know that these guys are right here on our doorstep.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and it feels good to support those guys too, It's a competitive market, super competitive. So when you got guys who make great stuff locally, it's nice to support them. And some of the guests that are on the show from Nova Scotia, I've used their stuff, and it's amazing stuff. So I'm really excited to talk to them, because I've used their stuff, but I don't know their story. So I'm really excited to hear their story. And I know there's some great guys from New Brunswick there too. So I'm excited to hear everybody's story.
Well, and that's just it. And it really doesn't matter whether you're a bass angler, a muskie angler, a trout angler, or, conventional gear, fly. We're going to touch and we're going to talk to somebody tonight who probably has a product that you're going to be interested in, because we're not looking at just one aspect. We're not looking at just gear fishermen. We're not looking at just fly fishing. We're going to touch on a lot of different aspects. So why don't we take a minute? We'll bring everybody up for a minute, introduce all our guests, and then we're going to take some one-on-one time, or I guess 2-on-1 time, because Matt and I are going to talk to each of these gentlemen. But let's bring everybody on. First up, we have Clarence Greer from Lures for Vets.
How you doing, guys?
Hello, Clarence. Oh, we're great.
Next, we have Denny Woodrow from Jack's Flies. Okay, I guess we're not getting Denny up on the screen right away. I'll go through the list and we'll get them up on the screen here in just a second, and just let everybody say hello, and then we'll pull the guys back and spend some quality time speaking to each of these gentlemen. So we have Denny, then we have Gerald, excuse me, Foster from Shane's Blackwater.
Hey, guys.
And
Hey, Gerald.
Jason Wilcox, Punk's Flies.
Hi, guys.
Jason.
Mark Moore from Moore's Baits.
How you doing, guys?
Evening,
Good, Mark. How are you?
Good.
And then finally, well, we're missing Jack's Flies. We have Ryan Wickholm from WikiBaits. And Denny apparently has lost his connection. Hopefully he'll get that reestablished and will be joining us again soon. So for now we have 5. Hopefully it will be 6. First off, gentlemen, on behalf of Matt, myself, and all of our team here with Fish East, thank you for being on tonight. Thank you for being a part of this. And we wish we could keep you all on the entire time, but that's just going to get confusing. So now I'm going to have to ask everybody, we're going to slide you on back to the backstage. We're going to keep Clarence out here front and center, and we're going to start. And Clarence, you and I have talked a little bit in the past, and I definitely have followed along with some of what you've been doing. You are from Nova Scotia, so correct. I will let Matt take the lead on this in just a second. Before I let Matt take the lead, I do have one thing I want to say to you, sir. Thank you for your service to this country, and thank you for what you're doing for the vets out there, the vets out there on and off the water.
My pleasure and honor.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Clarence Greer from Lures for Vets. Matt, I'm going to shut up for a minute. I know I'm not good at that, but I'm going to shut up for a minute and let you take the lead.
All right, buddy. Clarence, thanks for coming on. We'll get right to it. Why don't you tell us what Lures for Vets is all about?
Oh, how am I going to find this? Lures for Vets is a hobby, one-man social enterprise. Basically, it's me making the tackle, multi-species tackle. I sell it to help raise funds for different veteran organizations, such as Wounded Warriors Weekend Foundation, Rally Point Retreat here in Sable River, and the Veterans Memorial Medical Center Society in Halifax. 10% of everything that's sold will be broken up into thirds, or I pick an organization for that month, and that 10% will go to them for the month.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Right there, you got me sold. Right there, you got me sold. Donnie had already thanked you for your service. I thank you for what you're doing there, and the money's going to a great cause. So that's really awesome. You said you make multi-species lures, which is fantastic because I'm a multi-species guy. I know Donnie is as well.
Try to be anyways. I don't always succeed.
But as long as you try, we'll consider you a multi-species angler, Donnie.
Okay, fair enough.
So why don't you kind of give us a rundown of some of the gear you carry? So you said multi-species. Let's start with we're in Nova Scotia. Our resident or native fish is trout. So let's start with that. What kind of stuff you got for trout there?
Okay, for trout, believe it or not, I've brought something back from when I was living up in Ontario. Believe it or not, on the Cornwallis River, I have people starting to use.
Oh yes,
the
wedding band. The
wedding band, slow death roll, single hook harness. And they're catching some half decent brookies. Now this is an adaptation because the other version I make will have a couple of beads and a glow in the dark pill float. So it keeps it just off the bottom. That's one of the things. So they're using that on the Cornwallis River, down here in Annapolis River, and several other lakes, such as Ellsford and George Lake, or Lake George. And
that's cool.
Yeah, with the harness, I use nothing but 20-pound test line. So, and 20-pound test and up is what I work with. Also for the brookies, I have the single inline spinner with the bucktail.
Oh yes, classic inline spinner. Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Different blades, frog style, fish style, willow blade, different flashing, different setup, such as this one with the fish on it. You just get them turned around. There we go. So
it's like almost like a 3D printed fish, kind of.
Yeah,
can you hold that up one more time?
Yeah.
I can already tell Matt's going to be calling you when this is over, Clarence. So.
I am. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I do.
And believe it or not, I have guys who bought this in the past, and they're using it for smallmouth bass.
Oh, I 100% believe that. I would throw that for smallmouth bass in a heartbeat.
Yes, yeah. Donnie likes to throw the inline spinners for smallmouth bass. I learned that this summer.
Yeah, I do like my inline spinners, and let's face it, they catch fish.
They catch everything.
Oh, exactly. I've had shad hook onto these things.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
That's
awesome.
That's a big hook for a shad.
Well, size 6 treble hook with flashing.
Okay. Yeah. Now, do you make these in different sizes? Speaking of hook sizes, do you make them in different sizes, or do you just got kind of the one size?
No, I'll use size 4, size 6, and size 8.
Excellent. Okay.
So different sizes for different size fish. I've actually used a size 4 and 2/0 for some of my spoons, and I've gone trolling on the Annapolis River in Bridgetown and picked up anywhere from 12 to 18-inch stripers.
Oh, okay.
Just trolling in the river.
Just the spoons, yeah. So, what other lures do you have there? Let's say if, like we mentioned, bass. We know the inline spinner works for those. Do you have any? Do you make anything there that is kind of like specific to a species that anglers would target? Like, did you make up any? Do you have any lure there where you made it like, you know what? I need something for the striper fishermen. I need something for the guys who like to fish for chain pickerel or smallmouth bass. Do you have anything like specifically for a species?
Yeah, I make up striped bass rigs, single hook and double hook on nothing less than 40-pound test line for the rig. So, actually, 40 to 60-pound saltwater line I'll use.
Now when you're talking rigs, you're talking cut bait rigs.
Yeah,
like a high low rig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Single and or double hook, circle hooks at that. So that way the bait is taken right off it. So as you can see, those are some of the spoons that you're seeing.
Oh, there's some of the
these
spoons.
Are custom.
Yeah.
These are the what I call the fundraiser ones.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the Warriors Weekend Classic Red and White.
Nice.
We have the Rally Point Retreat ones, which is up there that you're seeing now, the Classic Red and White.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the Veterans Memorial Medical Center and my own.
Oh, very good.
So
wow, they look fishy for sure.
I just got done actually putting those together. So.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I just got done putting those together this week, and I just started doing my own jigs. So I just got to start doing that. The biggest thing is the spoons and inline spinners and the single or double hook harness rigs.
Now you say you're venturing into jigs. What kind of jigs are we talking about?
Round-headed.
Just ball jigs? What kind of weights?
Yeah. Ball jigs, we're looking at 1/8 ounce, 1/4, and 3/8 ounce.
Very nice. Very nice. So, I know a lake in northern New Brunswick where I could put those to very good use.
Yes.
Like I said, I do carry a few other things. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called the floating jig.
A floating jig.
Okay, you've got my attention.
Yeah, me too. I have a lot of gear and I don't have a floating jig, so you'll have to explain this to me.
A floating jig, instead of the jig head being made of lead, it's made of polystyrofoam, and it's melted and molded around the hook itself. And it's kind of like using a pill float on our line, except it's onto the hook. So you can bait it up or leave it as is, and it will will sink, but not that far.
Okay.
So Matt, when you get a chance, and I'll have to send some out to Donald, I'll send you a couple of floating jigs.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. I'm thinking now, and I think I used to have something similar before. It may be different. So you said that they do float or they sink really slow?
Their buoyancy is they'll go under the water for maybe, I don't know, less than a foot, but they'll stay there because
They're
it's styrofoam.
They're going to suspend. So
Yeah.
what application would a jig like that be intended for?
Top water bass.
You're saying,
Yeah.
I could definitely see.
Because as the water
know,
warms up, as the water's warming up and the bass are coming up to more of the surface for their food, then it's going to be right there in front of them.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I was thinking, and you can tell me if this would work with the floating jig. I think it would, based on your description. Let's say I ran. Let's say I put a split shot weight 12 to 16 inches above the floating jig. I could probably drag it on bottom, and it would kind of float a little bit off the bottom. Is that?
Yeah.
Mike thinking?
Same thing as it's basically the same application as if you were using the single hook pill float harness or the double hook pill float harness.
Okay.
Same idea, except you're using the floating jig.
Yeah, because I fished trout like that. When the fishing's kind of slow, and just kind of throwing it out there, letting it sit on bottom. We used to use, back when I fished the Bredora Lakes. You ever seen the worm blower or seen people use a syringe and they pump the worm full of air? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
So, and we used to just throw it out and kind of like set it and forget it, or kind of move it really slow. And it used to be really popular for me back in the day fishing trout. So now I'm thinking, like, with this little jig head, I could do kind of the same thing and use probably a smaller piece of bait, because you used to have to use the whole night crawler, and sometimes you had this big long night crawler and it wasn't kind of the presentation you wanted. So I'm really interested. I think that would be excellent for anything really. Top water bass, even the trout when they're hitting off the surface, it would be great. So I'm really interested to see those.
Yeah, definitely.
How would we go about purchasing some of these things? Because I know now people are going to be loading up on floating jigs.
Well, they can contact me through the Facebook page. If you go into the Facebook page, there is a shop section there with a layer of everything that I carry, which is not just the tackle. I've kind of expanded into other things, like the clothing gear, which is actually more of a promotional awareness item, such as the jersey I got on now. You'll see them. They're listed. These jerseys are meant to bring awareness that anyone wearing that or having this is open to a conversation to any veteran or first responder dealing with a mental health issue.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. No, I love it. Yep.
Is there anywhere else other than your Facebook page? Do you have anywhere where you've got any retailers carrying them or anything like that?
The Market Between the Mountains in Berwick still has some of my tackle in there. I don't know if you know that shop or not. I tried to get into the Home Hardwares in Nova Scotia. The only one that expects me to show up every year is the Home Hardware in Shelburne County that I grew up in. They expect me, this would be the third year I'll be going back to load them up. And they purchase anywhere from $300 to $400 worth every year.
Very nice.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
Nice.
Good for you. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what else to say, Donnie. I mean, it's everything he's shown me. It's like I want to try it. And
yeah, exactly.
It makes me feel so good knowing that a percentage of that money goes to all these great causes. So good on you, Clarence. I love what you're doing there. And anybody who's watching right now, please look up Clarence and Lures for Vets and check out all this cool gear. And I'm going to be getting my hands on some of those floating jigs. I'm so intrigued.
Definitely,
certainly.
Definitely. Hats off to you, Clarence, and
Yes.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Hang out in the back studio. We're going to bring you back, have a little round table at the end of the show after we've had a chance to talk to the other guys. But hats off to you. Hats off to all our country's vets, and thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for joining us tonight.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having me on.
Our pleasure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well,
That was
Matt,
cool.
floating that I'm not quite to where I was with. Oh yeah, we fished them with shrimp, but floating
Yeah.
jigs, that definitely made me.
Well, see,
know.
this I should have asked him how big they are. Maybe when we come back to the round table. But as soon as he said that, like I started thinking, like that kind of I was talking about the floating worm rig. First thing
Yep.
I thought of before the worm, I was like, I bet you if I put a shrimp on that, I would clean up the number door. I did. If it's floating off of the bottom,
depending on the size of the hook, unless it's hooked too big.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that
I just
was
put
great.
more shrimp on. That's all.
That was great. And
love it.
if anyone loses track of how to get a hold of Clarence, just shoot us a message at Fish East, and we'll definitely put you in touch with him or any of the great guys we're going to talk tonight. Next up, we have a gentleman from a business called Jack's Flies, Mr. Denny Boudreau.
Hey guys.
Hey Denny.
Denny, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic, and I really appreciate the opportunity, guys. Thank you.
Our pleasure. We put a call out on our Facebook page here a couple weeks ago, looking for recommendations, because obviously we know a lot of people, but we don't know everybody. And we said, okay, who would people like to see? And your name came up a couple times, so it was just obvious that we were going to reach out to you. And I will admit, as I said, I'm kind of taking the lead on the New Brunswick guest tonight. Matt's going to have to back me up pretty strong here, because my fly game is pretty weak. So, but before we get into the specifics where I'm going to look stupid, because I can promise you I probably will, how did you get into this? What got you into tying flies to the point that you wanted to make a business out of it?
Well, I first started tying flies when I was 10 years old with my grandfather in Bathurst. That's where I'm from originally. And we were just kind of fiddling around, kind of looked like green machines, but they were different colors. I used to make them with a brown body with a pink tail and any color hackle. And then he took me fishing and he taught me how to fly fish. And I caught my first salmon on that little brown bug when I was 10 years old. It was a 10-pounder. And I've been hooked on fishing ever since, and hooked on fly tying as well.
That's so your roots run pretty deep in this. I mean, this isn't fly fishing's popular, maybe I can make a buck. This is something that's really near and dear to your heart.
Exactly. And I've been tying flies ever since I'm 40 now, so it's been a long time. And I've been in Restigouche, the Restigouche area now for over 20 years. And I was lucky enough, my first year moving over here to Campbellton, this gentleman by the name of John Dickinson took me out on his 26-footer canoe.
Ooh.
And that was just a whole other adventure for me. And I've never left the river since that time. And I've been guiding professionally on the Restigouche and selling my flies to the camps and sports from all over the world.
No, that is really great. Now, I mean, obviously with fly fishing in New Brunswick, the first thought is salmon, and trout as well. Have you diversified to other species as well, or are you still focused on the trout and salmon flies?
Well, our main focus is always on salmon. We do a whole variety of wet flies and a lot of bombers, a lot of dry flies as well. And over the last 5 years, we've had a massive boost in population for stripers in the Restigouche. So also started tying some striper flies too.
Speaking of stripers, that's not a bad one at all.
No, that was 36.5-inch.
That's right in Campbellton.
Right next to the bridge. Yeah.
Wow. I looked at your Facebook page, but I guess I see a striper and a big bridge in the background. I automatically think Miramichi.
Yeah.
And
everyone says the same thing.
Yeah.
However,
well,
it's getting very popular up here too.
I drive truck as well, and I haul out of Dalhousie Junction quite a bit. So I've crossed that bridge a number of times, and so it's once I actually picked my head up and looked a little closer, it was definitely obvious where it was. And that is a beautiful fish, and that was caught on one of your own flies.
No, this one here was caught on one of my bass setups or striped bass setups that I make as well. I just got into that 3 years ago. And this was a shore fish. It was kind of you just throw it out as far as you can and let it sit. And that was mid-October, that fish. I think it was October 14th last year.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. So you're diversifying even outside the flies a little bit to make sure you serve your local area and the stuff that they're going to be looking for.
Exactly. And we just recently started, next year we'll be doing guided striped bass tours, either on the boat or from shore.
Mhm.
So we have 4 different packages that we're going to be dealing with.
Are you going to be targeting them on the fly? Are you or
Well,
both?
there's 3 ways we're fishing them right now. We're fishing them almost like on a dead weight, like I just explained. I can show it to you after what it looks like. And we fished them with the fly and also with little swim baits, which they're catching on low tide now too.
Oh,
Are they still catching up there right now?
No, it ended. The season ended on Halloween Day.
I was going to say that's what I thought, that up there was at the end of October as well, but I could have been wrong. So
it got real cold real fast, or I'd say around October 12th, it got super cold, and then it got shut down, unfortunately.
So
what?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of flies? What kind of flies do you like to use up there?
For salmon or for striper?
For since we're on the striper topic,
Okay.
let's go with that first. What do you like to use?
One.
Okay, like a minnow imitation.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for that one?
No, I don't have a name for it. It's just based on request from some of my sports, and it works fantastic.
Yeah,
This
got a
is the
few
same
similar to that,
idea.
not so bright. Oh, I like that one. See, those are the colors I like to use here.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we fish the Stewiacke River here, the colors like that would work really well.
And you just agitate it in the water, and you'll just slam it. And this one here too has been working. It's more of a top water. It's like a striper dragon.
Oh,
Striper dragon.
I like it. Perfect
Very
name.
nice.
I like that one. Now,
Very nice.
are those ones that you just tie for yourself, or if someone was looking to purchase those flies, could they get those from you? Or
Yeah, those are for sale for sure. Everything that I tie for myself, of course, but it's all for sale. I can show you the setup too for the.
Yes, please do.
It's like a 3-part. We start with a weight. Let me find it. So I do these in 3-ounce, 4-ounce, and 5-ounce weights. 50-pound test line. You go about a foot up, and you got a circle hook. Another foot, you got your other circle hook, and then you just attach your main line to that.
Perfect.
So, okay. I mean, we are in New Brunswick. I've got to ask, what is your most popular salmon fly?
My most popular salmon fly in the moment is this one right here, the Undertaker.
Oh, classic. Yes.
Yeah. I make probably 30, 40 dozen of these every year.
30, 40 dozen.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time at the bench.
Yeah, I used to say that I watched hockey, but now I just listen. When hockey's on, I'm just tying. And now there's no hockey, so.
Okay. Now,
YouTube.
You said that's your most popular.
Yep.
Out of all the flies you tie, and I'm guessing you probably have one in arm's reach. What's your personal favorite?
My personal favorite is this one right here.
Blue Charm.
Blue Charm, yeah.
It's my favorite.
And the most dependable fly ever used.
Yeah.
Night, day, even in the mid-afternoon, it works.
Right. And you like that the little bit of the white wing? Because I know there's some guys who are like straight up moose wing. Moose wing is the one, but you like the white one?
Yeah, I like the swirl tail regular.
Yeah.
There's no flash on it. It's just a simple traditional fly that I grew up tying, and they're still working 30 years later.
Oh, that's, you know what? I would think if I had to fathom a guess, I think I could confidently say that at least 80% of the salmon I hook are on that fly. And, you know, you hear like in the fall, the big marabous and the orange and the general practitioners, and I've used them all. And I try, you know, the first pass through the pool, I'll use an orange mother or something. And then, you know, it'll be later in the day, I throw on the blue charm and whoop, first pass. And I don't know why I take it off. I say it every year. It's like, I don't know why I take this fly off.
Yeah,
So
I agree
it's a
with you
class.
there.
what's just I want to show off a couple more of your flies. I
Okay.
mean, they all really look.
This is one
What's maybe a couple
our
of your
most popular.
yeah, okay, another one of your most popular, and maybe
Okay.
if you've
Rusty
got
rat.
something new there.
Rusty rat.
And then we also sell what we call the Jack's Flies Deadly Dozen. It comes in a Jack's Flies box, and you get 10 wet flies with it.
Okay.
And that includes also 2 dry flies. And we used to have a set, like the set patterns that went in the box, but a lot of people were asking for different kind of setups. So we're very flexible now, and in the types of flies you could go with 4 blue charms, 6 rusty rats, and then 2 bombers. It's totally up to the customer.
Do you have anything new, like something that you have a pattern that you came up with yourself that has really caught on popularity wise? You know, or your customers pretty much into the old faithful, the ones that they've been using for years.
This one here is also very good, and it's one of the guys that I work with. His name is Von Firth, and I call this one the Von Firth Rat. He came up with it, and we've been using it, and I get a lot of success on it, especially later at night.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So where can people find you? I know we've got scrolling across the bottom of the screen, your Facebook page.
Yeah, Facebook page at Jack's Flies, like right there. And I also have an Instagram account. It's the same thing, at Jack's Flies. You can find me there.
Do you have any retailers, lodges, camps, anyone selling your flies?
Right now, they're not selling my flies. They're buying to use my flies. So there's a whole bunch of camps on the Restigouche. I've got people on the Bonaventure, even on the Miramichi using my flies. So
you selling any? You selling any across the river in Quebec?
A lot. There's a lot of fishermen and guys that use my flies on the Matapedia, the Bonaventure, the Patapedia. They're getting on the Gaspé coast as well, especially the bombers, like these big bombers like this. They love this style. It's not a cigar shape. It's more like a cone shape. They just love them nice and big and bushy like that.
Yeah. So they send message your Facebook or your Instagram page if they want to place an order.
Perfect.
You want to hold up that fly box again, your Jack's fly box, because I saw it had a phone number on the top. So why don't you hold it up where everyone can see the phone number as well? You know, they can just click pause on the screen and write down 506-987-9171. So either give Denny a call or message his social media, his Facebook or his Instagram. Denny Boudreau, Jack's Flies, beautiful work. They did get me to pick up a fly rod a couple times this year, so it's pretty much inevitable at some point in time, probably next season, I will have one of your flies on the end of a line, and we'll see what happens.
Maybe you'll come over and we'll go fishing together. Love to have you on my boat.
Sounds good to me, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Hang out backstage, watch the rest of the episode, and we'll bring you back at the end for a quick little roundtable with the rest of the guys. So, Denny Boudreau, Jack's Flies, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denny.
Matt, you're
Awesome.
the fly fisherman more so than I am, that's for sure. And you were pretty quick to pick up on a couple of the patterns he had there, and he definitely sounds like he's generating a great following for himself, not only here in New Brunswick, but on the Gaspé and a little bit in Quebec as well. So great to see a local fly tire reaching out and stretching out and getting a base like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been following some of his stuff on Instagram. His flies are awesome, and he if his favorite fly is a blue charm, he's good in my books because that's my favorite fly too. And
so you're going to
be a lot of my friends know that. So
you're going to be going back.
They're going to have a laugh.
Yeah, you're going to be going back, pausing this video, writing down his phone number. So far, you got to call Clarence. Now you're going to call Denny. How many orders are you allowed to put in before your wife makes you sleep on the couch?
we won't go there. She's going to watch this, Donnie.
Okay, fair enough.
But I'll
Okay.
definitely be getting that. What's that? That Jax's dirty dozen. Did he call it? What do you call it?
Yeah,
The dozen.
dirty
It's going to be all blue germs. Maybe one bomber. Those bombers he tied were nice. And you know what? I've never hooked a salmon on a bomber, so that's like my big goal next year. So I'll have to get some of his bombers.
How many
The ones I have
this
don't
year?
work. How many salmon did I hook this year? This year, do you got to bring this up right now? I none. I got blanked this year. I missed 2. I didn't get any successful hookups, and it was the first time in probably 6 years I didn't hook one.
If it's any consolation, I didn't hook one either. So, but I didn't try.
Yeah.
So,
I tried. I put some time in.
I know you did, buddy. I know you did, but that's just the nature of. That's why they call it fishing, not catching.
Yeah,
so, next up, we're going to go back down the highway to Nova Scotia, and we're going to bring on Gerald Foster from Shane's Blackwater. Gerald, good evening, sir.
How are you?
How are you tonight?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Well, Matt, this is a Nova Scotia guest, so I'm going to pull back and let you run the show.
Awesome. So yes, Gerald, thanks for coming on. Are you in Nova Scotia? Are you still in BC? Because you were spending some time in BC. Are you back in Nova Scotia now?
No, I'm sitting, if I look out the window right here in front of me, the sun's setting over the marina in Comox, British Columbia.
Oh, nice weather out there, I'd imagine.
I wish I had known that.
Today was beautiful. Today was beautiful. We're out here, we just hope that there's no southeast wind. But there wasn't today, but wishing I was in Nova Scotia, but it gets a little difficult to go back and forth. You got 2 weeks of isolation you have to do either way. So
yeah, it is. Why don't you? No, go ahead.
I grew up in Nova Scotia, hunting and trapping and fishing with my father, and we our hunts were Annapolis, Kings, Lunenburg, and Queens County. So we traveled across the province back and forth, and here 5 or 6 years ago, I banged heads with my nephew, and we decided we were going to take off and form a company and manufacture the equipment to do what we love to do, and that was fish brook trout, in particular in the months of June, July, and August. Usually the season for guys fishing them was done in May. They give up fishing the brookies in May or early June. And when everybody else was done, that was the signal for us to start fishing. Because we learned and specialized in controlled depth or fishing them in deeper water.
So I use your stuff. I have a bunch of your stuff in my tackle bag. It's great stuff, but I'll let you explain kind of the different setups you have. And so we kind of got a little background there. You fish in the summer months. So does that mean you have lures that go deep for them? And why don't you tell me, like, how did you come up with these lures? So first, maybe tell us what you got and how maybe you came up with like the idea for each one.
Okay, the idea stems back to the 70s. In 1976, I was fishing with an old timer that I always used to fish with, and for whatever reason, we were in the middle of a lake, and he forgot to unscrew the air bleeding valve on the outboard. So the outboard vacuumed, and I knew we were in deep water. We had the primitive sonar units then, and we were in 55, 60 feet of water. And I just said, oh, well, we'll get the motor going. I'm not going to bother reeling in if it's 55, 60 feet deep. And in the meantime, I had lake trawl on, which is a fairly heavy device. And I had a Mickey fin fly on behind it. And when he got the motor going and we started moving away, I just told him, I think I'm hung up on bottom. And it wasn't bottom. It was probably the nicest brook trout I'd ever caught. And got it in, and then the light switch came on and said, Well, in the warmer months, obviously they're down deeper. There's got to be a way to fish them. The sonar says they're there, and that's what we have developed and we market now, or tools of that. We make the standard spoons, trolling spoons, casting spoons, and trolling spinners. And Shane's got a beautiful mylar high resolution decals of the bait species on the blade. But kind of the niche for us is the lake trawls, and the particular now is coming about is more the flasher type. This is a flasher body I have here. And the flasher we use is just basically an extension of it becomes the fly fisherman's wrist, puts the twitch on the fly, but we do that putting the twitch on the fly at anywhere from 10, 12 feet to 60 feet deep when we're trolling.
Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming you have to use a downrigger for those to get them down.
Downrigger, or we use a second. If you go into our website, shanesblackwater.ca, and you go into underwater action, there's all kinds of YouTube videos on how to make your own downrigging devices dirt cheap. So basically, the fundamental thing that they all have in common is a piece of lead. In this case, it's 1.5 pounds, and a pound and a half of lead will allow you to troll at 30 feet deep consistently.
Okay. So, do you have any of the lake trawls there that you could show everybody? Because the stickers that you guys put on them are pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll get you to show that after. I'm going to show you how it works and the tricks of getting it to work in the East Coast in our shallow water, blackwater lakes. I mean, this is the body, and we get those water jet cut in Halifax. All of the stuff we manufacture, the components are manufactured locally.
Oh, wicked.
And they're all assembled in the Annapolis Valley, put together. Now, the mylar body, or the body that we use, can be heated on either end because I like to customize them a little bit for a little more aggressive action. Because, Matt, you kind of know I got a bad habit of chasing lake trout in Nova Scotia.
Yes, I wouldn't call it a bad habit. That's a good habit.
Definitely not a bad habit.
Yeah.
They love a very aggressive motion to the fly. So the tailing end, I put more curve on this so that I get a more aggressive swing in the water as it loops. Yeah. And of course, your fly is located anywhere from 18 to 36 inches behind your lake trawl. Mm-hmm. And the shorter you make that to your lake trawl, the more aggressive the fly moves. The longer you lead her behind the lake trawl, the deader the motion of the fly. So you get 36 inches common for brook trout, but lake trout will probably go 22, 24 inches because they're savage. They're absolutely savage in how they attack. And then at the front, we've got from your rod down to your snap that attaches to the lead weight. We use braid, but then the last 15 feet will be spliced to fluorocarbon because the fluorocarbon is gripped much better in the jaws of the snap. And you'll see here, we'll kind of hold it up so that I can get it all in, but it takes a fair amount of force pulling. You'll hear a snap as it comes out of the jaws. Boom, it comes out. That sets the hook for you. So it's an attractor. B, it puts a motion to the fly like the most skilled fly fisherman that's giving the twitch to his line and his rod tip, bringing a streamer through the water. And it works at depth. I'm not exaggerating to say I had 4 weeks of time in Nova Scotia this year chasing brookies and lakers, and it was probably combined 50 trophy fish. and then probably 30 of those were Lakers.
Now,
Oh, wow.
how many lakes in Nova Scotia are consistent lake trout fisheries? If it sounds like you spend a fair amount of time committed to Lakers.
2 plus 1. Two lakes are consistent. One lake is just a rumor, but I'm going to get to it this year. 2021, I'll be on it. So I'm going to give it a whirl. It should have them.
Very nice. Very nice. So
and there's some of the lake trawls there.
There's some of the 14-inch lake trawls with the number 4 blades.
So as we look at your Facebook page and some of the products on there, consistently, what would be your best sellers? What's the one or two items that you guys are really becoming known for?
You're showing it right there. That's becoming very popular. The spotted salamander lake trawl and the perch and trout blade lake trawls. They're the most popular items we carry.
Okay. Yeah. And you made mention, I see we've got, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, we do have your Facebook page that we're looking at right now. You made mention earlier of a website as well?
Yes, we have a website, shanesblackwater.ca. And on that, if you go to Underwater Action, you'll see videos of the how-tos, how to set up and troll on the Pour, troll deep on the Pour for Nova Scotia lakes. Because most lake trawls or most downrigging units that you could buy at Cabela's or whatever, they're just not suitable for Nova Scotia, New Brunswick lakes. Our bottoms are shallow and up and down too often, and they just don't react quick enough. You're going to get hung up all the time. Mm-hmm. But if you watch those videos, you'll see how you can do it on the cheap and on the effective.
So, so you've got your Facebook, you've got your website. I assume that people can message Facebook if they want to order or go to the website. Do you have any retailers locally or otherwise carrying things, or is it strictly online sales?
We've got 4 or 5 different stores in Nova Scotia that carry the product. There's a couple in the Halifax area. There's Fishing Fever. There's the Home Hardware stores. There's another one out just east of the city. I'm trying to think. He's a specialty. He's a fly tire. But down into Lakeel's Outfitters, a couple other spots in the valley carry them. But if you just pop a message on the Facebook page, we'll give you your local store that carries our product.
Very nice. And you'll ship anywhere. If I say I here in New Brunswick decided you had something that I could put to use up here, you'll ship it to me?
Absolutely. Yeah, we ship worldwide. There's brook trout in Australia. There's a few lakes in Australia that they've stocked them in. And they know they're deep and they know they're big, but they couldn't get at them till 2 years ago.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very cool, man. Do you got anything new coming out? Any new concepts coming out that we can look forward to?
We're working on an expansion of the spotted salamander thing for the spring. We want to push our season a little bit more into the April-May time frame, and the brookies and Lakers love to eat those salamanders, those great big black spotted salamanders early, because they're only in the water for the month for 3-4 weeks after the ice comes out.
Right.
So we're going to expand into that.
Cool.
Very nice. Well, Gerald, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Hopefully you'll be able to hang out back and join us again at the end of the show when we do our little round table and wrap things up. So that's Gerald Foster, Shane's Blackwater. Check them out on Facebook or, give their website a visit, and they might just have what you need to catch your next trophy trout. So, Gerald, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Gerald.
Thanks a lot, guys. This is great. Thank you for having me aboard.
Our pleasure. So, well, Matt, I mean, so far we've covered Clarence with a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And then, Denny, with flies, salmon, trout, striper, so we're definitely not sticking to one species, one demographic. We're trying to make sure that, there's a little bit of something for everyone. And we do have two guests that are going to double up a little bit on their primary focus, but they come at it from different directions. The first one of those is coming up next. And I'd like to welcome to the show Jason Wilcox from Punk's Flies. And the name of Jason's business might be a little misleading because, let's face it, what we're about to talk about, Mr. Wilcox, is not exactly flies as most people would think.
Right. So, first off, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on, guys. So, yeah, basically, I've been tying flies for quite a while, but I kind of a few years back I shifted gears to musky flies, and there we go. Some bigger and meaner stuff. And in the last little while, I've kind of switched my game a little bit to the gear side and started producing. Over this way. Started producing spinner baits, and as well, I'm starting to do inlines. There's a double 8.
Okay, let's back up just a second, Jason, before you get too far into those, because those are going to be a conversation in itself.
Right.
Let's back up a little bit. How did you? Because the first fly you held up evidently was not a musky fly. Where did you get your introduction? Okay, you started fishing. I'm guessing you didn't start fishing musky, and you obviously didn't start tying musky flies. So where did you get started? And how did you bring that to, targeting and making baits for one of the most elusive fish in our waters?
Right. So I got a fly tying kit for Christmas. Probably close to 20 years ago now. And so I kind of played around a little bit, tied some flies, learned to cast a fly rod, learned to catch fish on flies, and then I put it down. And skateboarding was more important. And, I got away from fishing for a little while, and then anyways, I got back into it and started getting into salmon fishing. So I started tying salmon flies. So I tie like the classics, and I'll put that down here. So I started tying salmon flies. Started tying flies for bass and trout and kind of whatever I'd normally fish for. Then I got into musky fishing around the same time, got into like targeting salmon, and then I ran into you guys have had him on the show already, Marlon Prince. Started talking to him, and he was just getting into fly fishing for muskie at the time. And I thought, that's a crazy cool thing. That's pretty punk rock. So let's give it a go. And so a couple years later, I found myself tying, big musky flies, and catching muskie on the fly. And then, so flash forward a couple more years, I guess I purchased the equipment secondhand from a guy who used to make these spinner baits, and I ended up putting it away and forgetting about it, and had that for 5 or 6 years. And I was looking at that earlier this summer and saying, well, I'm already tying flies, and that's basically translates to to what I'm doing now. So you put a fly on a spinner bait, and then that's kind of where I'm at now.
Okay, so let's get down to the nuts and bolts of what you're really focusing on right now.
Right.
You've kind of progressed for, because let's face it, the musky flies, it's a pretty small market.
It's
There's
very
not
small market.
there's not a lot of guys that are targeting muskie on a fly. I know Marlon
Right.
does, I know you do, but there's not a lot of guys doing it. That's a pretty small market. So
No, it's a pretty small market. To be honest, most of the musky flies that I sell end up going to the guys fishing stripers up north.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So let's see some of what I know. I've seen your flies and I knew you, but as far as you making spinner baits, I think the first time I really clued into the fact that you were building your own was when Amanda from Minnow posted something on, started advertising your spinners in her shop. So, I think it's absolutely great that you, a local builder and a brand new local shop, same as Ryan, who we'll talk to later, you guys have made those connections. So tell us a little bit about, I think you should be able to see what's up on the screen there right now. Say a bait like that, what goes into building it, and just tell us a little bit about it.
Right. So basically, I'm starting with it's just a 90-degree bend shaft. I pour the lead for the head. Put I believe that's a 7/0 hook on there, and then I basically I tie a fly to it and put some spinner blades on it, and I can powder coat them a whole bunch of different colors. Here's a green one. So I've been playing with that quite a bit, getting like different. This one's just got the orange belly because that's a pretty popular color for muskies. And then I've got I order blades in. Some of them I'll also powder coat the blades. This way, if you want black with orange blades is just classic muskie lure. So that's kind of where I've ended up on that one.
So what kind of price would someone be looking to, if they're going to be looking to buy? I guess a couple questions. What kind of weights are you building these in? And then, weights, blades, do you offer more than one blade style? And, what's someone going to pay for one of your custom spinners?
Yeah. So I charge $25 a piece. That's the same price that you'll get down at Amanda's shop, Minnow. And then I do have some other things in the works that might end up being a little more pricey, but that's gonna be that's gonna be a springtime thing, I guess. So I'm sorry, what was the rest of the question there?
What weights are you pouring?
What weights? Okay, so I'm 1.5, 2, and 2.5. So I started this year with the 2.5. This one's had a couple muskies on it this year. So that's a 2.5 ounce head, marabou body. This one's got curly tail option. I'm using number 8 blades, but I do also have so that's a number 8 Colorado. I've got some number 10 blades that I'm going to be working with pretty soon, and I've got here's a smaller Indiana blade. These ones are a little bit thicker, so they help get down a little bit more. And that was basically towards the end of the season. I wanted to be producing spinner baits that would get down a little deeper because that's where the fish are. Starting next year, I'm going to be focusing, for the start of next season, I'm going to be focusing on those 1.5 ounce heads, and probably with the 1.5, we'll put a second or maybe even third blade on there to give it a little more lift, because you're going to be fishing a little bit shallower earlier in the season, bumping around a little more shallow cover, and then eventually over the weeds. So you're going to want something a little bit lighter for that time of year. And then, of course, in the fall, you're going for a little bit heavier. I might even downsize to like a number 7 blade. There's going to be some other options with like a like two great big blades, almost like that setup, but on the spinner bait, I can do like double eights or double tens. I'm looking at getting into like willow leaf blades and some other designs as well.
So speaking of downsizing, I don't have muskie here in Nova Scotia. I love the look of those. I would just like I don't know what I could target with those here. Maybe some stripers. But I do a lot of chain pickerel fishing myself. Do you make anything that would be like smaller that we could use for like smallies or chain pickerel? Anything like that? Is that something you've thought about?
Right. So it's not something I've really put a lot of thought into, but I do hit some pretty large chain pickerel on the spinner baits. So here's one that's
wow, okay.
So this guy's got a bit of a shorter body. There we go in the curly tail there. So I can just, instead of dressing the trailer hook with bucktail, I can just put a curly tail on it or take it off altogether. And then if you're looking specifically for that trophy pickerel, those like 24-inch and bigger, these spinner baits will do it. The only ones that I've caught on it were like 23 inches and up.
Oh, sold.
No.
Sold. I want one.
Matt likes his chain pickerel tacos. Just before he spoke up there, Jay, I was going to say, I don't know what your lures do to the fish, but I was pretty sure they had Matt hypnotized because I think that was the quietest I had ever seen him. So
I was in awe. I was like, oh my God, like those, like people catch fish on that. Like I got to get up there for muskie. I was looking at the lures. I was like, I would never imagine throwing that. I don't even have a rod big enough to throw those things here. But I definitely want one for chain pickerel. I mean that makes total sense. Like obviously, big fish, right?
Yeah, and if you're you can use your striper gear as long as it's a fairly stiff rod, because you want the stiffer rod to throw these lures. But you can get away with using your striper gear if you're fishing muskie. You'd want to make sure you have the correct release tools. These actually, they get bigger. So
bigger than that.
So here's the one that I was showing before. This guy's probably another 3 inches longer, and I'm thinking about trying to figure out how to make like a 14 or 15-inch version too.
So it sounds like you've got your winter's work planned ahead. So
yeah, I do. I've got a lot of research and development and testing in the tub, I guess.
So you've got musky flies that you say are being used quite a bit for striper as well.
Yeah.
And you've got your spinner baits. Are all of your things available at Minnow or other locations, or is it just your spinners? What do you have available for retail sale, and how do people find them?
Right. So at this point, if you're looking to buy retail, stop by Minnow Tackle Shop here in Fredericton. Amanda carries my spinner baits, my inline spinners, and she's got some of my flies too. You could also reach out to me, or if you're already down at Minnow Tackle Shop, talk to Amanda there. She'll reach out to me, and we'll make sure you get what you need.
Perfect. So, like Matt said, they don't have the muskie in Nova Scotia, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't find an application. Or let's face it, pretty good number of people from Nova Scotia I know have made the trip up to New Brunswick to chase those muskie, because they're not going to find them any closer. So Jason Wilcox, Punks Flies, hang on till the end, Jay. Thank you very much for joining us. Some incredible, and I'm still kind of laughing at Matt and the awe on his face at the size of those spinner baits. I really don't think he knew what to say. So if nothing else,
I was out of my element. I'm not gonna lie, I was out of my element. I was like, I got nothing to say. I can't relate to those. Oh my God, that would break half my rods if I tried to cast that thing.
But thanks for joining us, Jay. So if you decide you set up a Punks Flies Facebook page or anything like that, let us know. We'll share that with folks through Fish East, so they know that they have another avenue as to how to find you. So
I do have a Facebook. I do have a Punks Flies Facebook. I've kind of been neglecting it, but I'll be updating that fairly regularly now.
Okay, perfect. So look up Punk's Flies on Facebook or visit Minnow Tackle Shop in downtown Fredericton and get yourself some Jason Wilcox custom flies and spinner baits. Jay, hang out in the back studio. We'll talk to you again here in a little bit. So Matt, do you need a minute to kind of get your bearings again?
I got to collect my thoughts here. I was like, I don't even have a tackle box big enough to fit one of those lures in. I don't think. When I see musky stuff though, like I've seen people building musky stuff, and I just part of me is just like, no, that's just a gimmick. There's no way. But after seeing like you guys fishing for musky and different people and the different fishies contributors and just all over, nothing surprises me anymore.
I mean, I've fished for stripers throwing 2 ounce weights, 1.5 2 ounce jig heads, fairly steady. And you're like, yeah, you feel a little bit in the shoulder when you're done and that sort of stuff. After spending a day on the boat with Ryan Wickholm, or 2 days on the boat with Ryan Wickholm, I guess the first day we really, really put in the time chucking 5 ounce baits.
Oh,
I tap out. I raise my hat to the musky fishermen. They got a world of respect from me. I just don't know if I could ever commit myself to destroying my rotator cuff quite that badly.
Oh yeah, an hour or two, and I'd be saying, "Get on the trawl, let's go." I can't cast these anymore.
Exactly. So let's keep moving. We got 2 more guests to get to this evening. Next up, we're going to go back down to Nova Scotia, not too far away from where you're sitting, I don't believe.
No,
Matt.
just down the road.
So join me in welcoming Mark Moore from Moore's Baits.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Mark.
Good, Mark. How are you this evening?
Good. Thanks for having me on the show here.
Oh, our pleasure. So, Matt, why don't you take the reins on this one?
Yeah, we're not talking musky baits here, so I can actually speak to these.
Yeah,
and I've actually been fortunate enough to use some of Mark's baits, and they're awesome, and they've done me really well. So, and I'll be purchasing some more for sure.
Yeah.
So why don't you give us your kind of background story? I know you just kind of started. It's kind of a recent thing for you.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us like what kind of gave you the idea to do it, and then maybe kind of how you kind of got started into it?
Well, honestly, started a few years ago. Me and my buddy said we should try to make our own, and we watched a YouTube video on how you can melt down your old plastics. So we literally just drilled holes in a 2x4, melted plastic, poured it in the hole, and came out with like a stick bait. Like it just was an ugly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
but it kind of made us think like, this actually works, right? So sort of fast forward to this year. Honestly, I just ran out of buying. Like I had all the tackle you could almost buy. So sort of my next step was just to start making my own. And I found it was a little harder, like Canadian Tire and stuff like that, to find the colors that you want.
Yes.
So I said, well, why don't I just make my own and kind of started up that way and just did some research on how to make them and where to get supplies and whatnot. And then sort of started up and said, hey, I can, these are working. I can sell these too. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think what you said is right about the colors. You get your really popular colors that everyone's buying in the stores, but sometimes, there's certain colors out there that work a lot better, that are harder to find, or sometimes you kind of stumble upon your own color. Is there a color that you kind of stumbled upon, like, wow, like these fish really good, these fish, better than some of the popular ones? Is there something that you came up with that you're proud of that works for you?
Yeah. Right now it's 2. So it'd be in my swim bait, really.
Okay.
This is one here. So it might be hard to see in the light here, but it's like
that looks good. Like a pearl blue almost on top.
Yeah, it's sort of like a midnight purple on top with a little hologram, and then just like a lime green belly on it.
I like it.
Yeah, it's harder to see in the light. And
almost looks like a toothpaste color on the bottom.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, the green.
That's a good name for it. Toothpaste.
Yeah. And then I kind of.
Nope, we lost him.
I think you froze up, Mark.
Still kind of hear him.
Yeah, this happens sometimes. I mean, the joys of being on the East Coast, and there's all kinds of folks that are on the Explore Net and the different types of internet packages, and gust of wind or many different things. So, but
here's I think this is his Facebook here, is it? Yes, it is.
Yeah, and soft plastics is something that really
they're so versatile. They catch many different types of fish.
They are. I mean,
and they're easy to fish. Yeah.
That's. I don't know the full line of what Mark is producing right now. I didn't have time to do the full research on. All his products, but smallmouth bass, perch, chain pickerel. If he's got something big enough, I mean, and it doesn't even have to be that big. Like 4-inch swim baits. If you're in an area for schoolie stripers, there's Neds.
Yeah, he's got Neds. He's got a lot of things. I've used his swim baits, his paddle tails. He's got the flukes, the jerk baits that are really, really good. I've used those.
You had mentioned his flukes or something that you, I think it was his that you mentioned. They're a wider.
They were wider, and what I found was they were really buoyant, which is perfect because I was using them for chain pickerel and smallies around the cover. There they actually are right there. But the ones I had were white. But you can kind of tell there was one there in the package that was kind of rolled, but they're wide and they're buoyant. So when you're kind of coming across the tops of lily pads and cover, it really got over there, and they're really good. I have some of these ribbed swim baits. So I believe I used that one when we were down in Yarmouth County as well.
I seem to recall.
I had some on the boat. Yeah, I had some on the boat there. Awesome stuff. Really great action. The plastic's really nice and soft. Sometimes you run into these soft plastics that really aren't really that soft. I don't know if you've ever run into some of those plastics, but his are really good quality, and they fish really well. Hey, he's back.
I don't know what happened. Back. I was watching the whole thing, and then all of a sudden, all of us left. But
no, we were still here. You left.
Yeah. You guys left on mine.
Yeah, but no, we were just going through your Facebook page, looking at some of your stuff, and it really, it looks like you've got a real nice variety of products going there. And Matt and I were talking about how versatile soft plastics can be. So you really can offer something to just about any application, or target species. Like there's really not a lot that you can't do with a few good soft plastics. So
for sure.
What's a couple of your most popular sellers?
I'd say right now, everybody that kind of comes and has a look at all my stuff is the Neds, like the Ned rigs. Kind of a big one this year. You guys must all heard about it. You're smiling. Yes. So I got just a little like 2.7 inch, right? Kind of like your TRD or whatever. And then just a 3-inch, but he's got a little split tail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that same thing, right? I could do any colors of that. But people are mostly interested in those, right? Because you can put that on a drop shot too, or on a Ned head,
I was just thinking that a drop shot, even like just a regular jig head, vertical jigging, yeah.
No, you're pouring those
colors, like
you're pouring those unsalted, so they float, I assume.
Unsalted, and it's floating plastic, so they do float. The only ones I got that'll sink, and which are still actually unsalted, it's just a sinking plastic, is my stick bait. So I got 5-inch and 4-inch.
Okay.
And it's made out of sinking plastic, so they will sink in the water, right? But I tried the salt route. I couldn't really get it to work good. They kind of you could see like the big salt grains in it. They tore apart kind of easy. So this way they stay a little tougher for you, and they still sink. So
resiliency is value for your dollars. So So Matt, you say you fished. Okay, we were talking about Mark's swim bait, his flukes. I guess not his swim baits, but his flukes. You got a fluke there. Matt was talking about it, saying obviously they're buoyant and they're a little wider across the back than a lot of flukes.
You see how the head's kind of like squared out. I found it real, and I I was praising the fluke because what I noticed when I fished it was how buoyant it stayed on like, because I like to fish a lot of heavy cover. Normally I'll just throw it out and kind of skip it across. And sometimes you'll run into some soft baits that kind of they dig, like it's so narrow that they dig into the lily pad. But this one, it was like just skipped right over the top of it. It fished really nice and heavy.
Kind of like that little, sort of like a boat front actually. So yeah, it does ride right up. Yeah. So
yeah,
those are really
like
good. One of my favorites for pickerel. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did get I got a nice smallie on it this year too. I was fishing for pickerel, but smallie took it. But yeah, really nice bait. Yeah, you can kind of see that shape, and that just helps it kind of, like I noticed, like it kind of had a nose up action, like it always darted with its nose up.
Yeah.
So anytime you hit something, it would kind of go over it instead of kind of digging down into it.
Going underneath, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was really well made bait. Yeah,
I just rip those across the weeds as fast as I can. The pickerel just dive right at them. They'll come right out of the water for them. So
yes,
yeah.
Nice.
You working on anything new there? Any new concepts?
My newest one is sort of the smaller fluke style. Yeah, so it's two.
Is that like a segmented tail there?
Kind of. It's got the little notches in the side, right? It'll give it a little more action.
I like that.
But it's just solid body.
2.5?
2.5, yeah.
Wow, so that'd be something for like a drop shot too. I'd like to use a couple of those through the ice this year.
Yeah,
I like those
thought of that.
Little classics.
But yeah, that's what I thought of it for drop shot, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Or through the ice too. I got a little bug.
A bug. Oh, I like that.
Beaver bug. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So the only thing with these, well, it'd be good on a drop shot with the single rope, but if you're trying to put it on a jig head, it's really thin here. I found the collars were blowing it apart. So what I actually did was just took my pliers and I just twisted the collar off a normal ball head. And then it would slide right on just the thin wire and work pretty good. It would last quite a while like that. But,
yeah, that's again a small bait like that, very versatile. You'd probably use it to target trout or perch, but I mean you'd end up catching smallies and pickerel on those things. So really popular baits, those bug baits. Kind of looks kind of shrimpy, Don. I was thinking of maybe throw some in the door.
I got another spot that someone will be very surprised when they see just how small of a bait we were using. But that's another story, and I can't give that away yet. Mark, where you've got your Facebook that we were scrolling through earlier. So obviously folks can message you on your Facebook page. Do you have any other avenues of contact or retailers that are carrying your products?
No, not anywhere. It's just Facebook and Instagram. Just fire me a message. Like I said, any colors you want, any color combos you're kind of thinking of, I can always try to make them up or match things up as close as I can, right? So I got a big variety of colors, like bright and chartreuse, like to all the natural type colors. So
very good.
Very nice.
Okay. So if someone, let's say someone had a certain bait fish they were trying to imitate, and they said, "Hey, could you make me? I don't know, off the top of my head, like a rainbow smelt for Grand Lake."
Yeah,
that's something that you would probably tinker around with and see if you could do like a custom bait almost, custom color.
Yeah, I can look at it and try to get it going. You know what I mean? I got the dual injector, so it will shoot the two different colors, like the white bellies.
Oh, okay.
And then the top a little different, and then just depending on what flake and stuff I want to put in it. You know what I mean? So I'll look it up and whatever colors you want, I'll try to match it.
Awesome stuff, man.
That's awesome, Mark. I can pretty much guarantee that sometime over the winter you will be hearing from me. Then again, I don't think there's been too many people we've talked to tonight that probably aren't going to hear from me at some point over the winter. So, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. That's Mark Moore, Moore's Baits. Check them out on Facebook. He'll hook you up with your locally made soft plastic needs. We'll ask you to hang out in the back studio for we got one more guest, and then we're going to bring us all back on for a couple minutes. So Mark, thank you very much. And,
thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys. Yep.
Great stuff, buddy. Great stuff.
We look forward to getting our hands on some of your baits. And Matt, I know you fished with them. I've only seen them so far, but I think you're right about those flukes. Those are something I definitely want to rip across some grass.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice when you come in and you find, someone who makes something unique like that, that fishes a certain way. And this is a local guy down my street. I mean, I have bought flukes from so many of the big brand name companies and stuff, and this guy just down the street here has got one of the coolest actions and like coolest shaped flukes that I've seen, and he's right down the road. So
Exactly. Those little
it's
drop
amazing.
shot baits,
Oh yeah,
that little creature bait. I mean, no, I think Mark's really onto something there, and it's great to see,
absolutely.
someone pouring some local soft plastics. So
That's right, and they're so popular. They're so popular. Plastics are so popular.
well, the thing is how do I put this politely? We lose a load of them.
You do
there's
well,
some,
yes.
we go through a lot of them, so you're constantly. I mean, I lose a crankbait. A $30. Someone loses a $30 mega bass jerk bait or a $25 Jason Wilcox spinner bait. You get a little cranky, so you're a little more particular about those things. When you're ripping a soft plastic through somewhere, you're like, as long as I get my hook back. I mean, the plastic was 7 cents or whatever it was. They're not a lot of money. So guys do burn through a lot of them. So, I think Matt's got a great little startup going there for himself. And we want to move on to our final guest of the night. He had some technical issues earlier, so hopefully those are all sorted out. We're going to go from soft plastics to some of the biggest hard baits you're going to see. Please welcome Mr. Ryan Wickholm from Wiki Baits. Ryan, how are you this evening?
Hi guys, I'm doing good. Thanks a lot for me.
No, thank you for being here. I do notice, folks, if you're watching at home, there is a little bit of a delay with Ryan. So don't think you're imagining things if we have a little pause waiting for a response, because we do have a little bit of a delay talking to him. Ryan, we've had you on before on our Muskie episode. I've had the pleasure of spending a couple days on the boat with you. And let's be honest, there's not a lot of guys around doing what you do, not just from a fishing perspective, but from a building perspective. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is you produce and how you produce it?
Sure. So right now, I'm still fairly new to it, but I started to make my own trolling crankbaits for muskie, and I make them out of wood, and they look a little something like this. And they're handmade. I don't know how bad is the delay. Is it pretty bad?
It's not as bad as it was earlier, Ryan. There is still a couple seconds there. So, basically all we're going to be able to do is just try and work through it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we're probably looking at I would say, without actually counting it off, a 2 to 3 second delay. So why don't we, we've got your Facebook page up here. I'm just going to kind of step back and let you talk, Ryan, about your building process. What do you build them out of? How are your, because let's face it, you're building musky baits. They have to be solid. So let's tell everybody what you build, how you build it, and how you give it the strength it needs to handle those big teeth and those powerful fish.
Sure. So they're made of a cedar, and I like to use cedar because it doesn't rot. It's a very popular wood used when most people make custom musky lures. I hand cut them out. Have a template. I draw them out. I'll cut them out with a saw. I'll do a little hand sanding. I'll router the edges to get it a nice smooth round transit radius on the edges. I use stainless steel components to make my hook hangers. Stainless steel is very important when you're making musky components. It's not going to rust away, and it's strong. I've used the lips I'm using is made of 1/8 Lexan. They've got glass eyes, and after I paint them, I put about 5 coats of 2-part epoxy over top of them to protect it and give it that nice glossy finish. And that's pretty much how I make them.
The paint job is incredible, man. Good for you. Look at that.
Thank you very much.
How big is that? How big is that? 10-inch, 12?
So that one there in particular is actually only an 8.5 inch. I started out just making them a little bit smaller. I'm going to be working over this winter on making some larger baits in the 10 to 12 inch range. But right now I'm just starting out slow. I'm still fairly new to it, so I've only got a couple models on go at the moment, but more to come.
Wow, fairly new to it, you said. Well, I never would have guessed that, not by looking at it. Wow.
So I just started doing this last year, and I trialed them out this summer, fishing them, and I just started getting them out to the public in the early fall.
So
awesome.
Tell us a little bit, Ryan, about you talk about painting them and you talk about the epoxy that finishes them. The epoxy is great, but it's what's underneath it, I think, is part of what makes some of your baits really special. How do you, you've got some incredible finishes, the shine, the reflection, the whole, everything's there. The attention to detail. Are you airbrushing? How are you painting these bodies?
I'm mostly using an airbrush, but there's other tricks that I use. I like to use sponges, and as you can see from a lot of them, I love using glitter. So yeah, it's mostly I just make stencils and I airbrush them on, and use some glitter and a couple other little tricks that I learned, and try to make the craziest, coolest patterns I can.
Well, I'd say you're definitely succeeding, and I've seen some mass-produced, corporately produced musky baits, and I've seen yours, and I would challenge anybody to look at yours and tell me that something they've bought that is mass produced or from a bigger company name is of higher quality than what you're producing out of your own home right in Fredericton. So hats off to you. The muskie community is definitely growing in our region, and for you to take it upon yourself. And how much time goes in to building each bait?
Well, I definitely do put in quite a bit of time. The more you do it, the faster you might be able to get a few out. But I mean, before I even get to the paint stage, I'm at least an hour or two in to one bait, and then I come up with my paint idea, and then I got to put my epoxy on it, and that's 24 hours before I can put on my next layer. So overall, the whole process to get one done takes me probably a week
to do one bait.
Yeah.
So now you have these. You said you've got a couple different styles. Are you looking at these for trolling fast, trolling slow? How deep are your baits running? What kind of water coverage can someone expect if they purchase one of your baits or a couple of your baits?
Yeah, so the three that I'm working on right now, I have my deep, I have my mid-range, and I have a shallow. So got here is I call this is one of my perch. This is a deep lip, and I'll compare it with one here. I don't know how well you can see, but the lip is significantly smaller. That would be my mid-range. And then I also have a shallower bait, and the lip is cut on a steeper angle, and it's just now my deep bait, get that to about 18 to 20 feet down. My mid-ranged one, I can get that down to about 15 feet, and my shallow baits are running around 6 to 8 feet deep.
Very nice. So, needless to say, you've put a lot of time and effort into these. And as I said before, and as we talked about, the time frame, the time commitment just to build one single bait. So, needless to say, these aren't your, Canadian Tire or other, mass retail baits that you're going to go pick up off a shelf for $8.99. On sale this week for $7.99. How much are you charging for these baits?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. How much are you charging for these baits, and where can people find them?
So I charge $75. You any pattern that you want, as long as it's in my talent scope. You can get them from me. Just contact me through my Facebook page, or they're being sold down at the Minnow Tackle Shop in Fredericton for the same price, $75.
And let's put this in perspective, because Ryan, you and I actually talked about this a little bit when we were out on the boat together. Someone who's not used to the muskie community and some of these big predatory fish communities, they hear $75 for one bait, and you got to reach over and pick their jaw up off the floor before they start collecting flies. But like I said, I've held Ryan's baits in my hands. I've actually trolled with them, felt the action in them, watched them run in the water, and the craftsmanship is there. And as I've said before, I'm not a muskie angler, but if they ever, convince me to go down that road, and I think they got a little ways to go to get me into it, quite as seriously as what Ryan is, it's definitely going to be something that I have in my go-to tackle on the St. John River. Anywhere you find these big toothy fish, wiki baits are going to do the trick for you. So follow Ryan and follow wiki baits on Facebook. Is that your only platform right now, Ryan, or do you have any others?
Right now, it's just my Facebook page. I'm still really new to this, and they're just getting out of the public now. So eventually, I'm going to work on an Instagram page, maybe a website. Who knows? But for right now, just my Facebook page and at the Minnow Tackle Shop in Fredericton.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. If you're looking to target muskie, and I don't, even if you're not targeting muskie in New Brunswick, if you're watching this and you're in Quebec or you're in Ontario, I know there's post offices in Fredericton, so I'm sure Ryan could arrange to ship these baits to you, because I'm pretty sure that if it's big and toothy like our St. John River muskie, they're going to bite it just the same. So look Ryan up, look Wiki Baits up on Facebook, shoot him a message, or visit Minnow's Tackle Shop, excuse me, in downtown Fredericton to purchase some more of those products. So Ryan, one last question before we let you go. I guess, there he is back. There he is. We almost lost you for a second. But one last question before we let you go. What's your next project?
My next project right now, I'm going to be working on over the winter, is a larger, deeper diving bait. I'm thinking something in the 10, 12-inch range with a big aluminum lip, something that you can get down hopefully 25 feet plus, something that's made to really grind the bottom.
Keep your eyes out, folks. You never know what you're going to see from Ryan Wickholm and Wiki Baits. Look them up on Facebook. Leave Ryan right there. We'll bring back all our other guests. We want to welcome back Clarence, Denny, Gerald, Jason, and Mark.
There's everybody.
I think we got everybody coming online here now. Oh, excuse me. Slowly. There we go. There's Gerald. even if they can't see me, I'm sure all these guys can hear me. Gentlemen, before we head towards wrapping this up, thank you all for coming on. I think you guys are an outstanding example and just the tip of the iceberg, not even the tip of the iceberg, for what East Coast craftsmanship really means when it comes to baits and flies and tackle of different kinds. So, thank you all for joining us. And, I look forward to getting my hands on products from probably each and every one of you and really putting it through its paces. So thank you all for being here tonight. I just want to go, Matt, do you have anything to say? Because I want to go around the group just one time and give them one last little kick at the can to plug something, or but before we do that, Matt, did you have anything you wanted to say?
I don't have any questions, but I just think I should tell you all that I'm super impressed with what I've seen. Some of you have been fortunate enough to use your stuff, and it's all been great. And I think for everybody, I'm in the same boat as Donnie. I'll probably be getting in touch with you for a lot of the for some of your gear. Even if it is a musky lure, I'm sure I could find some type of fish I can catch here. Striped bass, maybe one of them record pickerel or something. But I will definitely not tell the wife that I'm going to buy a $75 musky lure to fish chain pickerel in my lake. I'll tell you that right now. I'll say I found that on the ground somewhere. I found it at the lake. But super impressed with all the craftsmanship. Good job, guys. Excellent stuff.
So we'll start. We just finished up talking to Ryan. So Ryan, I'll give you a couple minutes to digest. I'm going to start at the bottom of the work our way up. So please shuffle. I don't remember where they were in. Mr. Wilcox, one last time, thank you for joining us. Where can people find your products? And if you have anything special or any plugs you want to throw out there, now's your shot.
Again, you can find my stuff at Minnow Tackle Shop. Don't really have any exceptional plugs. Look forward to seeing some flies and some spinner baits and a couple new things next year.
Perfect. Really appreciate you being here tonight, Jason. I'm going to get to minnow myself because I want to get a closer look at some of your spinner baits because, so far I've only seen them online. So actually, I should say that to all of you guys. I want to see your stuff more up close and in person. Next up, Mark Moore, Moore's Baits. Mark, thank you again for being here. Any last minute plugs? And just want to remind the folks at home where to find where you can purchase your socks.
Yeah, no, just on Facebook and Instagram there, just at More Baits. And keep an eye out, too. I forgot to mention this winter I'm going to look at pouring a bit of lead. We'll have a couple Ned jig heads and stuff and swim bait heads to go with the swim baits and Ned. So get that going this winter, hopefully, and have them ready by spring. But, yeah, just look me up on Facebook, Instagram. Send me a message.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark. That's one thing soft plastic anglers love, some shopping where they can get their jigs and their soft plastic all in one stop. So next, Denny, Jack's Flies. Denny, thank you. You're the lone fly guy. Well, I shouldn't say that. Jason is kind of a fly guy. His are just a little bigger with those musky flies. But, craftsmanship is craftsmanship. It doesn't matter whether it's big flies or small flies. So thank you for joining us, Denny. Like I said, same as everybody else. Any quick plugs and just remind folks where they can find your products.
Well, you can find our products on Jack's Flies or at Jack's Flies on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're looking for a Christmas gift, we do ship and we can get it there before Christmas for sure. And I also want to add that starting mid-July to October 1st, we're going to be giving some guided fishing tours for striped bass. 3 different packages right in downtown Campbellton.
Sorry, just making some notes for myself. Thank you, Denny. Appreciate you being here tonight as well. Next up, Gerald Foster from from Shane's Blood.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for
I'm
having
going
us
to put you on
aboard.
the No, our pleasure to have you here. I appreciate it. Couldn't thank you guys enough. And I'll put you on the same spot as I have the other guys. Just one last quick little plug and where to find your products.
Well, shanesblackwater.ca is our website, and you can find us at Shane's Blackwater on Facebook. You can order directly off of the Facebook page. We're there to answer. And I think the rumor is out that maybe I might be on a boat, or a couple of us might be on a boat or near Matt fishing in this spring, trying something. So,
I'm sure Matt won't give away all your secrets. You know, he might put a little something in the memory bank for himself, but he won't tell all your secrets when he's out there.
just remember, there's some big trout down there. 6-pound test won't cut it.
Good to know. Good to know.
Okay.
I've been known to lose a big fish or two, so I'll set my.
I think we've got Ryan coming back in, but we'll go next. Next up, we've got Clarence Greer from Lures for Vets. Clarence, thank you again for everything you're doing and for supporting our vets and all that. Everything you've done for them, and thank you for serving. And like I said, same spot as everybody else. If you have any quick plugs, and remind folks where to find your stuff.
Okay. As Matt mentioned, I do have an Instagram page at Lures for Vets, the Facebook page, and one last plug I wanted to get in there is take a look through the Facebook page and look up information about the Goodwill Ambassador Program I've added this year. These are anglers wanting to give back to other veterans and first responders to say thank you for their service, to set aside one day a month to invite them out to go fishing recreationally and or for a weekend if they so choose. I have several Goodwill ambassadors, two in Nova Scotia and a couple out in Ontario and a couple out west.
We'll definitely look into that, Clarence. I think that is, another exceptional program that you're doing. So, over and above the lures and tackle that you build, thank you for everything you're doing. And last but certainly not least, we just talked to him, but we'll give him one more shot at glory. Ryan Wickholm from WikiBaits. Ryan, just everything's pretty fresh in everyone's mind for yours, but just one last reminder as to where we can find your products. And before you try to talk, unmute your microphone. Okay, either the delay got worse. Okay, I just before you cut back to me, Ryan unmute his microphone, so he should be good to go. We'll give him one last chance, Ryan, if you're there. You want to just remind everybody at home where your books, and if you have any quick plug, get in there. Now's your chance. I can't do any plugs for him, but I know Ryan's Baits Minnow Tackle Shop in Fredericton, and through his own Facebook page, WikiBaits. So, gentlemen, I think this is just going to be the first of many showcases of our East Coast tackle scene. Thank you guys all for being the first to come aboard and spend some time with us. If anyone has any questions and you forget who we have on tonight, obviously you can go back and watch the video or shoot us a message. We're more than happy to drop a plug for any of these guys and the work they do. And guys, hats off to all of you. Thank you for joining us tonight. And hopefully we'll get these cold weather months over with really quick so we can all get back out there on the water.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So
Thanks,
Thanks a
Seth.
lot, guys.
thanks a lot, guys. We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
We will be talking to you all very soon. Just honestly, kind of mind blown a little bit with some of the stuff we looked at tonight.
So
You know,
much, so
and it's,
talented.
like I said, it's all here.
Amazing.
And like I said, it's all here on our doorstep. It's all here. I mean, those 6 gentlemen were 3 from New Brunswick, 3 from Nova Scotia. You know, it's
Yeah, and
Canada
I mean, you
Post.
know,
I don't.
yeah, exactly. And everybody was saying that they can ship it in. So, you know, look them up and you know, get
Yeah.
some of it shipped in. You know, it's important to support local, and these guys are, you know, and one of the things that maybe should be mentioned about, you know, buying local stuff is these guys fish these waters. Like, they know the colors that work, they know the shapes and the sizes that work. You know, you can go and order a bunch of stuff from your big brands companies, but you know, those lures aren't always made with the knowledge or intention of fishing the bodies of water you fish here. A lot of these guys are going to fish the same body of water that you fish, and you know, they know it works. So, you know,
Exactly.
maybe some of these custom baits are a little bit more than you're used to paying, but there's a reason for that. You know, there's a reason for that.
But at the end of the day, I mean, let's face it, we didn't get into fishing thinking it was going to be cheap. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. If you got into fishing thinking it was going to be cheap, someone really misinformed you.
Yeah.
You know, but a few cents here or there, or $1 here and there to support local, and get the baits that are not only designed for, but designed by people in this, in your local area. You know, it's worth it every time around. So, Matt, I want to thank you for joining me tonight and joining us and being along for this ride.
Always a pleasure.
Our first time, just the 2 of us taking the reins, and you know, hopefully somebody doesn't throw us overboard before it's done. But you know, it was a lot of fun tonight, and I look forward to doing it again very soon.
I as well. It's always a fun time with you, Donnie.
Awesome, man. Thank you again for joining us. You know, you take care. We'll talk to you soon. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for episode 7 of Fish East Live. This time, not so live, but you know, it is what it is. We wanted to make sure we got the message out to you folks. We had a broadcast scheduled. We had it promised to you, and we wanted to make sure that you got it. Thanks again to my co-host, Matt Zito, and to all our guests. Excuse me. Clarence, Denny, Gerald, Jason, Mark, and Ryan. Thanks to all the guys for joining us. Thanks to the folks on our Facebook page who recommended these guys. We put that little survey or a little question out here a couple weeks back, and you know, these guys were recommended to us. So for those of you who engaged in that post and you know, gave us your recommendations, we can't thank you enough either, because you definitely pointed us in the right direction and got us some great guests. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Don Patterson. Fish on and fish east.